by the new American president, what kind of effect do they have in us as a country and as a continent? Mheshimiwa Simba.
The dying of people getting into the U.S. is now narrowed.
You have been in the U.S., have you?
I have been. I have been. Of course, I could not love to be in the U.S. because of many factors. But then what happens, including Kenya, people are deported back to their countries. Of course, Trump, when he came into power, he said that he wanted to make America great again. Of course, it has lost its primacy in terms of control of the world. And you expect that the orders, they are more superior than even the orders actually the court gave yesterday. Therefore, expecting to see more march.
Actually, there was a stay by one of the judges.
Yes, but the orders, the executive orders, they are more superior than the orders from the court. Actually, that's what I've seen. Therefore, expecting that much of it, those ones who must have, gone to the U.S. From those 7 countries, to be deported back to their countries. Of course, those are their own policies, and we expected that it will affect so much the way America has been doing, and it will hype now the travel of the U.S. There is some time back where for you to get a visa is that you must work hard, as in terms of the Christianity and the Muslim praying to get to heaven. That's the analogy that was being put across.
Professor, the new American dispensation vis-a-vis the relations with the rest of the world.
Personally, what has happened in America is what the whole world should watch. For once, America have said Americans first. Americans first. Everything home first. You cannot cook food and allow children from other neighborhood to come and feast first when yours are just been thrown out in the name of wanting to become the darling of the world. To me, what the new president has done is right. If you bring that scenario to Kenya, when you say Kenya first, it means we must eliminate drought, which is ravaging and killing people now. We must eliminate a lot of this corruption going on. We must eliminate very many things that are making the people of Kenya look awkward in their own homeland. So to me, it is time to become extremely patriotic to your own homeland. Me, I would love to become a Kenyan proud, and especially in West Pokot, even where there is nothing. Why would anybody want to admire to go to America? To do what?
Land of opportunities.
Which opportunity? There's no more opportunity in the US than it is found in Kenya. You go to Garissa, you will get the best opportunity. Land is virgin. It has never been plowed. Ever. Because there's no water. But we can get water there. Land, there's a lot of minerals in Kenya here. Everything is here. And the peace of God that surpasses every understanding is also found here. Climate, the best. So, what we are lacking is believing in ourselves. And any Kenyan who is in America and they are there by somehow they found themselves there, they quickly need to run to the airport to be deported back home.
Jonathan was in America for quite a while and he finally came back home. I mean, what do you take of this new dispensation?
I'm shocked by my colleagues, both Professor and Simba, who are clapping for Trump and what he's doing. Do I agree on America first, Kenya first? Absolutely. You always have to put your country first. But you have to go back and see what America is built on. America is built on immigrants. What drives America is immigrants. If Trump is saying, let's make America great again, and then Trump is saying America first, and when he's saying that, these people who are pouring in the streets, millions and millions of people are pouring in the streets to protest against that. Do you think those millions of people are fooled? They're saying they don't want themselves first? No. It's that the policies that Trump is bringing is he's saying we don't need anybody else in the world. But that's how America survives.
We'll need anybody else in the world after we give the chance to America.
Yes, but how do you do that? Is, first of all, he said that nobody will be able to do anything if it's not made in America. He doesn't know that the only thing that's made in America is a hamburger. Everything else is made elsewhere. And that's how America
originally from Germany
operates. Even his own wives were never made in America. So where do you find anything that is made in America? Even that hat that says, let's make America great again, was not made in America. So he's pursuing policies that don't last. Now, let me comment on what he has done with immigration. He has said 7 Muslim countries their people should not be let in.
And people are wondering why Afghanistan, where Osama bin Laden was smoked out, is not among the 7.
Well, I don't know how he chose the 7, but he chose, you know, the Iraq, Iran, Syria,
Somalia,
Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Now, the federal judge has reversed his executive order,
which Simba Arati tells us.
Yes, and I can
is inferior.
I can explain that. America's constitution and America's entire democracy is based on the Bill of Rights. That's the most important thing to Americans. Now, if you're an American citizen, you were born in Somalia, you were born in Yemen. For example, Mo Ibrahim
was born in
Somalia. Yeah, he has dual citizenship of the UK and the US. His family and his kids live in the US. Now, all of a sudden, with his American passport, he's been told you cannot get into the country. One thing, what do you tell his children? They live there, they think they're Americans. Number 2, it infringes on his own rights, which is superior to an executive order of the president. So this thing is not going to go far, and very quickly Trump is going to realize that he has his own ideas, but America runs on a system, and the systems will not allow 300 years of democracy to be killed because you have a president who doesn't really understand how things work.
Yusuf, do you believe Trump is operating like America is in utopia?
I think what has been said here is interesting. For example, my 2 colleagues said...
and you actually lived in America.
Yes, I studied in America and I lived in America. And I think the America that I'm hearing now is a different America of that I knew. And I want to say that when you say America first, the professor and my colleague said America first. What is America? Who is in America? Trump himself, parents came from Germany. America is a country of immigrants, as my colleague has said. If America is going to be fast, maybe we should be going back to the natives,
the Red Indians,
who own this particular country. America is a country of immigrants. America benefits, is a net beneficiary of international support in terms of immigrants. Immigrants have built that country. Look at the Kenyan experts, the engineers, the doctors, the scientists, the professors who are teaching in the United States, who are working in the United States, who were born in Kenya, were educated, and we spent a lot of money building them up. And they go to the United States to contribute to the economic development of America. Secondly, in terms of economic, we're a global community, interdependent. China is the biggest manufacturing center in the world because America is no longer competitive.
But don't you think the argument is valid? They're actually saying they don't have a problem with what you're saying, but they're saying give a chance to Americans first, like you'd say, give a chance.
Americans have every chance in the world. I think what you have in Trump is narrow nationalism. It's a very narrow, myopic perception of the world. Secondly, under international law, countries have relationships. America is not an island. We have relationships. We have diplomatic relationships.
And all countries normally look at does it favor me first?
Yeah, we must respect the nationalities of people. To discriminate now in this world in 2017 against particular countries, and to say an entire nation population is banned from going into the United States is unacceptable. It is cruel.
You know, let's look at some facts. Just very quickly.
I'll come to you, Jonathan.
There is something that we want to correct my brother here, that we're talking of illegal immigrants.
No,
Kenyans.
No,
Kenyans,
you don't understand. The people who have been thrown out are not illegal. They are green card. No, I'm not talking about that.
There are 2 sets of people here.
Yeah.
He has banned people with green cards plus who have residence in the United States.
Kenyans who have been deported.
No, not Kenyans. We're talking about the 7 countries.
But also what we have to agree is that we cannot accept, you know, this world to be run over by extremists. You see, that in the name of green cards who enter into the US, if America is targeted, of course the world is targeted. What we want to say is that yes, Trump, we know that is, as DG has just said, he may not go too far with his orders. But what we are saying is that we must bring order.
There's need for order.
There is order.
He's
We need
created
order.
this
And the
order.
order.
It's nothing
the
to do with
order
it. He's
which
created this
includes
order.
even in our own country. That's what we are saying.
What do you mean when you say he's created?
He is overturning using an executive order, not a legislation passed by Congress or by the Senate.
So it's like a one-man show?
Yes,
no consideration
he
for
is
others.
behaving like a dictator in which he is signing executive orders that do not respect the constitutional basis or framework of the United States. Because these people are legal, they haven't committed any crimes. The only crime the crime of these people from those 7 countries have committed, they are Muslims. Is being a Muslim a criminal action according to my honorable? Don't you represent Muslims in the audience?
There are so many Muslims in the world.
Let's
and
get
we
to hear
can't
Professor.
narrow our argument to that level.
Let's get to hear
Muslim.
Professor.
I think we should not narrow it into religion.
Yeah.
Let's
That's
look
But
at
he has
No,
banned
no.
7 countries,
No.
and the
No,
reason
that
why
one,
he's
no.
banned is because they are Muslim countries. That's all.
Did they give that reason?
Yes.
No,
They-
we want to see the
It's
reason.
very clear.
I don't think those countries you have mentioned are 100% Muslim.
They are, all of them.
No,
Actually, they are predominantly.
They are predominantly
No.
Muslims.
When a nation has come up with an idea and they don't want you, don't go and pretend to start fighting.
It is not a nation, it is a decision of one person.
No, this person was
Even
elected.
Even the judges in
You
his
are
own country
here,
disagree
courtesy
with
of the
him.
people of Kamkunji.
Yeah. So you are not Yusuf Hassan.
You are not
Exactly.
Yusuf Hassan. You are here, courtesy of the people of Kamkunji. So whatever even you are saying should cover everybody. What I'm telling us ourselves here is that new president, with the packing of those people, had already announced even before he was elected that these are the measures he was going to take. Those people still followed to elect him. Why are we talking about even Trump? Look at East Africa here. Museveni, when he took over, he put things in the order in which Ugandan wanted. You walk to Rwanda, I was there the other day. There, Rwandese first, and then a neighbor second or third or whatever, even if you are who. Then, that's now you guarantee the civility and the peace of your people. I love that. Then your neighbor will now come, and you know when you have this freedom, everybody just comes. The wrong ones first of all come.
They take advantage of the
Yes.
whole.
And by giving that degree he gave the other day, I know good ones will also suffer. I mean, when a rulers come, even good people will suffer. But finally, it will stabilize. So what we should actually say, let's watch what happens in America. Let us encourage and learn something also ourselves. In Kenya, now when this fellow says American fund, what is he trying to protect there? He's trying to protect jobs. Are we protecting jobs there? We don't have the jobs here anyway. We should be saying, let us create jobs so that we can in future become like them to protect for our people. Our people are suffering from very petty things here, which we have just said the government should pay attention, not to go and do things that look like you are playing PR. Bringing our people to protect the borders of Kenya is not asking for too much. Our army, our Somalia is our ally, is our neighbor, permanent and pensionable. But we need to relook and reorient how we work with them. Because whether you like it or not, they are there. But must we go and relax in Kismayo for us to say
Selling
that,
charcoals.
That's an allegation that has not.
No, charcoals. We know.
No. I
wait
think.
a minute, don't interfere with my thought
Mheshimiwa
I'm
Simba,
finishing.
Mheshimiwa Simba at this
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
because it will be quoted that in this show,
Yeah.
somebody said our
But-
military are selling
but-
charcoal.
but-
We
but-
do not have those details and we cannot authenticate unless you place them here.
No, but
so I
you
want
see-
you to withdraw that statement.
Well,
no.
agreeing that I have to withdraw, but
Please.
there is an argument that before there is even people from the government who are selling charcoals there. Yeah, taking advantage of our
People
soldiers.
from the government,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
much
yeah.
I can take.
Taking
because it's
advantage-
here and there,
taking
but our
advantage-
military,
taking
these are our
advantage-
gallant soldiers, we
Yeah.
cannot just
They
say
are
something
saying
without
they were
substantiating.
taking advantage of our soldiers being here at Kismayo.
Not necessarily.
But you see, one thing that has to come out clearly. We have our sons, daughters, brothers, fathers and mothers in the military. When you say they are selling charcoal there against what they're supposed to do, and we do not have any tangible evidence, It's not right, Mheshimiwa.
And we want to tell you,
So,
there
no,
was
before
a
you
report,
tell us,
there
before
was
you
a report,
okay.
and a report which we can trace and get it.
Okay.
And
Before you trace it and get it, please just read it.
yeah.
I'm not saying the soldiers they're selling, but what I'm saying, our people
So do you
from the system.
Okay, you will say what you have to say, but you have to withdraw that statement that our military are
There's
selling
nothing
charcoal.
I'm withdrawing on people selling charcoals, using, taking advantage of our soldiers.
What I insist that you withdraw is that our military are selling
our militaries, of course, their work is not selling charcoals.
So our military are not selling charcoal.
Yeah, but
No, just
people-
say that. Our
Our
military...
militaries, they're not selling charcoals.
Thank you. Now you can go on.
But what I want to say is that our people in the systems, they have taken advantage of our soldiers being on the ground. And, they're doing business. They're doing business
So they're taking advantage of our soldiers.
at the expense. Instead of them providing equipment for the Al-Shabaab default, what they are doing is they're engaged in business.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa, and you will understand why I insisted. You actually said, the two of you said, America first, Kenya first. As a Kenyan, we believe that our military are doing a good job. And so I insisted
they're doing a good
because
job, but then
we don't want to have them.
they have been let down with the system.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. There's no harm doing business. When there's stability in any part of the world, you are allowed to do business, isn't it?
When there is
so
stability.
don't condemn. In fact, the people of Somalia need business people. There's a lot of business to go on. If you can find your way to do business, well and good. What we are saying is that our interest is to protect Kenyans. Our soldiers is to protect Kenyan borders. That we need to see. We were happy that they went to pursue the criminals that killed the tourists in Lamu. But now, must we remain there for the next 100 years? 200 years? We need to redo it without harming our objective of going there. But our borders need to be looked at.
We go back to the American. Sorry, I forgot this side of the divide. I'll give you a chance so that we move.
There's a lot of heat. But just on a few things. If you want to see what America has become, and I disagree when they say that America had lost its place in the world. What Obama did is Obama came up with a foreign policy and said, you know what, we don't need to be a bully because we're the most powerful nation in the world. We need to go and talk to our friends, the people that we have wronged. We need to go and say sorry. We need to go and make peace so that all of us can live in a global world. And that's what he did. That's why he went back to Cuba and opened up diplomatic relations.
For the first time
in 60 years. That's why he went back to Hiroshima, where they bombed in a nuclear bomb in the 40s during World War II, and said sorry, because he realizes that now we have to be friends. What did his policies do? It brought unemployment to under 4%, never happened in the last few decades. He brought America out of a recession. House pricing came back up. The stock market tripled in value. Tripled. So if you had a shilling in the stock market, by the time Obama was leaving, you had three. And then the whole world loved America because America cared. Obama followed the rule of law. And that's what made his people happy. Obama has left with the greatest approval rating in the history of US presidents. Obama got the biggest voter turnout twice that has ever been seen in the history of America. Obama came out and said, listen, we are all one family. I am not your big brother. Let's sit down and let's talk. That's what made America great. Now Trump has come in and people are out in the streets.
He wants that bully mentality
and
back.
Millions of people are out in the streets. So Professor, where do you get stability if you have millions of women out in the streets? Nobody is working, shops are closed. So soon what will happen is people will start saying we don't want to trade with
Jonathan
America.
is saying you don't have to be a bully.
Yeah.
According to
And then as I conclude, rule of law. And I always say on this show, if you don't follow the rule of law, then you have nothing left. Now you have gone to an American embassy somewhere. You've gotten a visa that is allowed by the law of America. You're up in the plane. A president makes a declaration, signs an executive order. By the time you land,
you're told you
have to go back. You've spent your air ticket, you've spent your whatever. It's unlawful. How do you support somebody who is openly breaking the law? And that's why the courts have come in.
Yes, I think America is a great country. It has got a lot of resources. And immigrants have made America a great country. America has benefited from taking the best brains and the best people from all around the world. And America as a country can play a very constructive role, as my colleague has said, of becoming the leader of the global community that exists, playing a positive role in terms of peace, in terms of security, in terms of economic development, in terms of protection and standing up for human rights. But now, the America that we're seeing under Trump is an isolationist. It is going into a cocoon. And some of the actions somehow that I have seen him take in the last few days is I feel it unrealistic, because I just don't believe a great country like the United States can behave the way it is behaving now. It is completely unacceptable, and it is really sad that it has reached that
Well, like they say, whenever America sneezes, the whole world catches a cold. You can see from the reactions here, those who are pro and those who are against the executive orders by President Donald Trump. Now we move on quickly. The Daily Nation, actually I think it's the Daily Nation. I heard it somewhere. It has a story about, on page 1, now the Attorney General's office has disputed a claim by Treasury that Anglo-leasing companies have filed 4 cases in Europe in which they are seeking 16.6 billion shillings from the Kenya government. A well-informed official at the AG's chamber is actually quoted as having said that there are no such pending cases of Anglo-leasing, contrary to the claims by the Cabinet Secretary or Treasury, Mheshimiwa Henry Rotich. Gentlemen, Anglo-leasing, the ghost has refused to be slain. I start with you.
What do you expect of AG, who is more of works for the system throughout to defend it even when it's wrong?
But the Treasury CS also works for the system, doesn't it?
Precisely. What you're saying is that I'm sure the other day they paid. There was a case and the president paid money. Therefore, what we are sure is that only thing, very soon we may get the right at the end of the tunnel, that indeed there was some cases and they may be paying the money.
16.6 billion.
They may be paying, yes. There is no rumor there. It's there are facts, and we may find them soon.
Now, Professor, the AG's chamber, which defends suits on behalf of the Republic, says there are no cases. Treasury CS says there are 4 cases totaling to 16.6 billion shillings, which Kenya needs to pay.
What did you say? Who said that in AG? You read it?
A well-informed official.
Yes, without a name. So you can already see, we cannot authoritatively say that the AG himself actually said it, because somebody is refusing to say his name. So
maybe he's not authorized to speak on behalf of the AG.
Yes, the AG should now talk. And if it is CS Rotich who talked, I don't think CS can just wake up and talk on things he doesn't have evidence on. What is only coming out, clearly out, is the mess you do in your time will follow you and the generations to come for as long as it has not been solved. Golden back, Anglo-leasing, and this new one's called NYS scandal.
Eurobond.
I don't know whether Eurobond, and another one called health. Now, it is a shame. It's like a scar. It doesn't go. So Kenyans need to learn something here. And whatever we do, it will germinate. It will never go in the regime you think you are in. You can do your mess in the regime that you think is protecting you. But a time will come, it will always still resurface.
What do you mean by that?
There are some people who may be messing up in the regime now, Jubilee government, thinking that they will be safe. You will never be safe. They will follow you in the years to come. Golden, the one we are listening, was in the first term of President Kibaki 0207, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why is he not dying 15 years later? So the sins will always follow you wherever you are. We must actually be keen as Kenyans to say, this spirit is just a mess. Why do we wake up to read it every day? We should just be able to return the money whether it was supposed to be returned. People take responsibility, whoever was involved, and so on. But we are babysitting it.
The ghost has refused to be slain. Releasing ghost.
Yeah, you know what that story says, Charles, is that the Treasury has hired an international law firm to defend the country against Anglo-leasing suits. in 4 countries. I think it's London, it's The Hague,
Geneva.
Geneva, yeah. And the AG's office doesn't know. The AG's office is the one that's supposed to take care of all legal issues on behalf of the government. So why is Treasury hiring international lawyers without the AG knowing? And it's the AG's job. There's a breakdown in the system. That's one. Number 2, why did we pay 1.4 billion shillings to Anglo Leasing in 2014 when we were going for the Eurobond? And the president came out and said, we don't agree with this thing, but we have to pay it so that we can get Eurobond. Then we got Eurobond, and then they spent Eurobond outside of the law. Money unaccounted for, Auditor General says. Some of the $600 million or whatever it was, 600 million shillings, was paid to our syndicated loans without it coming into the country first, going to the consolidated funds.
Out there and paid
it was paid out there against the law. The PFM Act is very clear. Okay? So there's a very serious problem in the system, and the president must take leadership on this. Why we paid that 1.4 billion shillings is because we were sued abroad on a case that is obvious. You've seen on page 2 those 2 fellows in court. So 2 fellows in court, they're in court because they were taken there by Kenya's anti-corruption. The same 2 fellows who the Kenyans have said need to be chunguzwad are the same ones who are being paid 1.4 billion shillings. And we are paid 1.4 billion shillings because we lost a case which we had a very strong case of corruption in London. We lost that case because this same AG did not send lawyers to go and defend us. There's a conspiracy going on, big one, somewhere.
Yusuf.
Well, from the newspaper headline, it's not very clear, and I think it is important for us to, first of all, say that we should not have paid, and we should not pay, and we should never pay for cases like Anglo Leasing.
We actually paid the 1.4 billion so that we get Europe.
I think we shouldn't have, and we should not in future. But it is important here for the ministry, the Treasury Ministry, to come out and explain why there's a discrepancy and what they intend to do.
And why they procure the services of legal services.
Yeah, so that we can get a clear picture of what the situation is.
You know what happened is that when they paid 1.4 billion for them to receive the Eurobond, they had already, it's a long process, they had already overseen how they're going to steal the Eurobond money.
I wonder who they here is.
Of course, you know, it's the system, Jubilee government, not another person.
That is Jubilee government.
They are the thieves that we have
purely
around.
Speculative.
These are the thieves we have around. And we are saying that's the reason why we must vote them out.
Okay, gentlemen. Now, the Daily Nation and the Standard have an almost similar headline. They're talking about voter registration. Raila and Uhuru face new enemy. The enemy, apparently Jubilee and CORD, thought that each was the other's biggest foe, but their best plans are being scuttled by a common headache: voter apathy countrywide. Apparently the Standard says low voter registration, Raila's worry. Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga had actually a meeting where he really had a scathing attack on the governors in Luo Nyanza and predominantly CORD areas. What do you people take of this voter apathy? What really is happening? You people are out. The governor was up. By the way, I don't know if my director has, before we look at the headlines, Governor Evans Kidero was somewhere in church asking for votes. I don't know whether we have that clip. Maybe if we have, you let us know so that we can just get a glimpse of it. But what do you take of this low voter turnout despite all the noise? Have you gone out asking people to register as voters?
Unfortunately, you are not able to see the clip where we have been in the campaign trail trying to tell people to come. This is the scenario which is taking place in Kenya. When they hear politicians and everybody, civil servants coming out to educate them about voter registration, they come in numbers you have never seen. So you have the biggest rallies. But the outcome of those visitations shock you. West Pokot, we are supposed to get about 90,000 new registered voters by now. Week 2, we are hitting 15,000. So I was asking myself, what's wrong with these people? Because whenever we go around, they all come in their numbers. There is something that we need to restudy afresh. When I read what the president is this frustration in Kiambu here, now
Honorable Raila in Nyanza and wherever, there must be something we need to go back to the drawing board before this time elapses. Now, what is happening that nobody is paying attention? Could there be something we are doing not right as a nation? That our people are just watching, we are in a different scale, and they
have heard, they know, but they're just watching. And they before I take it from the other gentleman, our senior reporter Francis Gashuri, the report about the numbers as far as voter registration is concerned. My director, please, if you could just play the clip.
The mass national voter registration enters the 15th day tomorrow, with IEBC targeting to enlist at least 6.1 million new voters out of the 9.1 million citizens with national identity cards but not yet in the national roll of voters. But by close of business today, statistics indicate that the number of new voters was way below the IEBC target. Sources from across the regions indicate that only slightly above 1.3 million new voters had been enlisted against the IEBC target of 2.8 million by the end of the second week. The Commission had set out to register at least 200,000 new voters daily to hit the 6.1 million mark by the end of the 30-day drive. When new IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati unveiled the Week 1 statistics on Tuesday, only 825,000 new voters had been registered against a 1.4 million target. The Week 2 statistics likely to go down despite the spirited mobilization spearheaded by the Jubilee and opposition teams in their strongholds to show up the numbers. In the central eastern region that covers Meru and Embu counties, 107,634 new voters had been registered by close of the second week, out of the 424,565 national identity card holders targeted by IEBC. The central rift region that covers Samburu, Baringo, Nakuru and Laikipia counties had 107,844 new voters enlisted in the first 14 days of the exercise against a target of 381,855.
And my appeal to all the people is to come and register on time, not to wait for the last minute, as is usually sometimes the culture of Kenyans.
Hata Jumapili, hata Jumamosi tunasajili na wasingoje siku ya mwisho, kwa sababu hatutakuwa tukisajili after 6 imefika, hata siku ya mwisho.
In Nairobi County, only 200,149 new voters had been registered by Saturday against a total target of 851,036. Almost 60,000 registered voters had applied to be transferred to new polling stations. In Kajiado County, more than 29,000 new voters had been registered against a target of 33,282. The new IEBC chairman will on Tuesday issue an update on the mass national voter registration. The Commission anticipates that the heightened political activity and the crowds attending rallies will translate to longer queues at the registration center as the enlisting enters the 15th day tomorrow. Francis Gashuri, Public First News.
That was our very own senior reporter Francis Gashuri with startling figures. Only 1.3 out of an expected 2.8 million. Professor says the campaigns have been enormous. Something is wrong somewhere. What could it be?
Something is completely wrong, and in so many levels. Number one is some of the statements that the leadership of this country is making. You know, people don't want to register for 3 reasons. The first one is they say, why register and you're going to come and steal our votes anyway?
Yes.
The second reason is you people are talking about you must win, it's going to cause violence. I don't want to go and start voting when there's violence. And the third is politicians don't keep their promises. Yeah, and it's in that order. But the first one is what is most scary, because you see the president the other day going to say that he's going to beat CORD with 4 million votes. How does he know he's going to beat CORD with 4 million votes? So the people who are going to vote are like, you know what, these guys already even know how many votes they're going to get before the election is done. So even if I go and register to vote and I vote, my vote will not count. It's already been rigged. Here in Nairobi, you saw the other day the deputy president saying, Dandora, liwe liwalo, juu, chini, kulia, kushoto, mbele, nyuma, serikali ya Nairobi itakuwa ya Jubilee. How can somebody be so confident? And he says, whatever it takes, the governor of Nairobi is going to be in Jubilee. This is the government speaking. If you look at your constitution, Schedule 4, number 24, it says general elections, national elections, are the responsibility of the national government. This is the same government who's telling the voter, we don't care whether you vote, we don't care whether you register to vote, but we already know the outcome of the election.
Confidence.
Yes,
So, hold on, it's not expressing confidence. Just let me finish my thought, because this is a very important thing for us. Yeah. So, what we need now to tell Wananchi is the solution is not refusing to register to vote. The solution is everybody to go and take their vote, so that this government that's just stamping, we teach them a lesson. We need to teach the government that it's the people who matter. It's the people who decide, and you're not going to steal our choices. You're not going to steal our election, and that can only be done if especially the young people go out and register to vote in the largest numbers possible. So for me, I'm optimistic. I think sometimes they're a last-minute nation. We are now halfway through the process, and I think as we continue going out, preaching peace, we continue going out, expressing confidence to the people that it is them who will decide, not the government who knows what the outcome is. Then we'll be able to convince them to register. If we don't do that, then we are wasting our time.
I think
what really is the problem?
I think first of all, let me say the statements that my colleague has questioned are statements that are made in light of an election year. People are campaigning. There's absolutely nothing wrong in the president.
But you know, 6 months before, you know how many votes you are getting.
Nothing
and
wrong.
How many you'll beat your opponent.
Actually, Jonathan,
there is nothing wrong with
Schedule 4, Article 24.
Yes, Schedule 4 number 24.
Absolutely.
It says it's the responsibility of the national government to conduct national
exactly. But
now, this is a national government represented by the presidency. I beg your pardon. Sorry about that. That says we will win by 4 million votes. And somebody says,
but the president
whatever
is a candidate.
it takes.
The president is a candidate. The deputy president is a candidate. What they say in terms of giving confidence to their supporters has nothing to do with the election.
At this moment, we assume they are candidates. At this moment, they are still the leadership.
But you're not allowing me to express myself.
I'm just asking. Now you can express.
Is that they are campaigning and they're giving encouragement and confidence to their supporters. As far as the election is concerned, the president has been out every day telling every Kenyan to register. Please register, and your vote matters. Every day he's been on the campaign trail fighting for Kenyans. He's looked at the issue, he's spoken about the issue of ID. So in fact, he is a president who wants the biggest number of Kenyans to register and vote in this country. But if you look at the other side, who has rubbished the Independent Electoral Borders IEBC? It is the opposition that has rubbished. It is the opposition that had gone to the streets to discredit them. It is the opposition that has constantly said to the Kenyan people that the elections are already going to be rigged.
That was the IEBC.
Even now, they're saying the elections are going to be rigged, in a way implanting into the minds of their supporters that there is no possibility of a free and fair and independent elections. So they have created lethargy in their own constituency.
So is that affecting voter registration?
Absolutely. Look at Nyanza, where the leader of the opposition has criticized the governors. It's because there's lethargy in this. They're asking the leader of the opposition, you have already told us IEBC is biased. You have already told us the elections are going to be rigged. Why should we register to vote? It does not mean anything. So now what the leaders of the opposition need is to deprogram their supporters. To say, look, only by voting through the ballot can you change your status. You can choose the person you want, whether you want continuity, status quo or not. So it is a democratic process. And for us to be looking at the government which has done everything to accept, the government conceded and accepted the IEBC to be reconstituted. We now have new IEBC chairman and commissioners in place. Now it is the role of the opposition to create confidence in our electoral system and in our institutions' ability to be able to encourage more people from their areas to register.
And so you think if they do that in the next 15 days, we'll get the numbers?
I think Kenyans also culturally hold on to, particularly in the case of Nairobi. I know that people are waiting, doing their businesses, going to work. They'll be rushing in some ways to register, those who want to register and to vote. would have the opportunity to do so.
Just I want to pick from where I left it. Most of those ones who are registering there are people who don't have even work. The guys who finished the school, this government has not given them a job. Therefore, there is nothing like they are waiting for the last minute. But then I want to go back. This is a system where the president is believed to have been rigged into office by 2 million votes, which is unaccounted for.
That is absolutely
Now,
not true. It's a lie.
It is.
It's a big lie.
Because what happens is that the
it's
people
a propaganda
who voted,
lie, and
the people who voted.
We'll give him a chance.
But
then
it's not true.
Then
You
we'll
have to challenge the fact. 2 million
Relax,
people. Where did they come from?
Relax. The people who
give
voted
us
for the
evidence.
governor, who voted for us, who voted for MCS, it's totalizing to around 10 million. People who voted for presidents, it's 12 million. When you were walking into a polling station, you were given 6 ballot papers. Therefore, where is these extra 2 million ballot papers we're getting from?
Somebody could have chosen just to vote for the president.
Therefore, those remaining ones should have been spoiled vote. I think. Therefore, what we are saying is that this is a government, when we are being told there is around 2-3 million to be registered, whereas they are holding even the IDs on our, in the stronghold of opposition. Whereas
like where? Where are they holding IDs?
Nyanza. There is, if you saw yesterday, the record here is that there are so many IDs which they have not been given out to the people. It's the responsibility of a government which is in office to make sure those important documents, they are with the common mwananchi. Therefore, another thing is this business of them telling us that they have already won the elections. People they are asking, why should we go then to register? Whereas we know Jubilee, the other name of Jubilee is stealing.
And what do you say of what he said, that the opposition has been telling people IEBC is not trustworthy?
No, IEBC, of course, the IEBC which put Uhuru and Ruto in office, it was not good. It's a system which helped them to get into
So
office.
what we have now is good?
And we want to assert to Kenyans that the IEBC now, as currently constituted, is a good IEBC. We expect that they'll meet the expectation of the Kenyans. And we carry out an exercise which is transparent. Except that we want to warn the government that indeed we can't sit back.
You are neither CORD nor are you Jubilee. You are canon from the last time you were here.
Excellent.
What do you take about all this? The opposition has said, the government has said. Does it affect voter registration?
It doesn't affect in a way. What we need to look at is the fatigue that is in the people, particularly the young people who have come. Very few of them have been absorbed in the job. And it's not only this government, previous government. We have always come with a prime agenda. We will do this, we'll do this. And then the young people just find themselves floating. And so many of them have gone to school. The only thing that is not worrying us, and we should worry every Kenyan, is when I'm in authority, leadership. Now I'm the senator. And I speak carelessly. The statement where somebody comes and say, liwe liwalo. In English, it means come what may. Now, when you split those into pieces, come what may means you are even capable to kill for you to get. You are even capable to steal for you to get. So I think we need to learn that we are no longer ordinary campaigners. We are not agents. We are not followers. We are the leaders. So when I'm the leader, I need to weigh what I'm saying. I ask for the votes with authority. We will win. But I cannot come and say I'll win by
4 million votes.
4 million votes, or in West Pokot I'll win by 100,000 votes. Where did you count that? So we need to moderate. What comes from our tongue is very powerful.
Okay, gentlemen.
And there are people who follow us to death.
At the end of the day, the most important thing is, if you do not have a voter's card, it is important that you go out there and register as a voter, regardless of whether you're in the opposition or in the government, because this is your constitutional right. You have the right to make a decision, and now you have even more rights, considering that we have a new constitution of the IEBC. I want us to move on.
Just 30 seconds. There's some solutions here. Yesterday we went out with Kalonzo Musyoka to a place called Kwari in Embakasi, and we went again to the IEBC registration place and checked people's IDs. Okay, we found that Kalonzo's ID still has a duplicate within the system. We checked
He actually
randomly.
made a joke about it, that the daughter was
Yes,
called him and asked
exactly,
him, how are you?
exactly.
How is Susan today?
Correct. Salome. She's called
Salome,
Salome
right.
Wanjiru. Yeah. And then we also now checked the Wiper chairman in Nairobi is called Roy Kibusiu. We also checked his ID. He has a duplicate. Raila Odinga has 4 duplicates. So the register in itself is not credible. That's one. Now when I say, and I have to correct my friend Yusuf Asome Katiba, he's saying it's the role of the opposition. The constitution is clear. It's the role of the national government. Now, if I can tell you why this government is failing, is because in the Grand Coalition government, by the time Kibaki was leaving office, he had left an IEBC that had 85% confidence level of the people. Uhuru Ruto government comes in, now we are at 35%. That's why people don't want to register to vote. So another solution is to register to vote, or to vote in this country, you need to be a Kenyan and you need to be 18 years. Your ID already makes you a Kenyan and 18 years. So do away with this voter registration. Link the technology between the people who give IDs and the IEBC, so that by the time you turn 18, the government knows you are 18, you can go and vote, and the IBC, their job is just to check, is your ID valid or not.
That's a challenge to Mheshimiwa.
No, I think I agree. I agree with the fact if we're going to reform our system, for example, the United Kingdom, you don't need an ID. You just vote as a citizen. Your name
One
is
document capture
is in the system, and you go. But let me just come back to the issue of clearing up. I fully support that we should clear up our voter registration list, clean it up,
the register,
improve whatever, remove whatever is not verifiable. But who is opposing that system? IEBC hired an audit. It has been blocked in court by the court opposition.
They have a challenge with the way the audit firm was hired.
Exactly, but so that is the reason. By now, we would have had an auditor who would have gone through of that and recommended. Yes, and we can still do that. But they were the ones who went to court to stop the process.
Organized on record that they said we are pulling out that case, and we are asking IEBC to call all the stakeholders together so we can agree how to clean this register.
Simbarati, very quickly.
You know, I just want to guess that the 4 million that President Uhuru
you want to guess?
About, that his niece, which is doing this work. This niece is the one.
You're guessing.
This is a
National
conspiracy.
intelligence.
This conspiracy.
Okay, hold it there.
Business of.
Hold it there, gentlemen. Now that we are in Nairobi, we are the seat of the county of Nairobi. There was quite interesting politics over the weekend. This is where we will be wrapping it up. If my director has a clip on Governor Kidero and Mheshimiwa Peter Kenneth somewhere in the suburbs of Nairobi, please.
The Jubilee Party is yet to identify its flag bearer for the Nairobi gubernatorial seat. The Team Nairobi side, led by Senator Mike Sonko, claims it has what it takes to clinch the seat and urged other aspirants in the party to join them. Sonko and his team continued faulting former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth, accusing him of using unfair tactics.
There are some MPs ambao wamenunuliwa wanaendosia wananchi wa Nairobi candidate wa governor. Hiyo hatutakubali. Sisi tuko paka kwa debe na mmoja wetu ndo atakuwa governor wa Nairobi.
Sisi walisema ati mimi withdraw in his support. I want to tell him that he needs to be more innovative.
Team Nairobi has labeled Kenneth as a latecomer who has portrayed himself as the favored one. The legislators spoke at a church service in Roysambu and were joined by Kiambu Governor William Kabogo. And while his colleagues continued tearing apart his ambitions in Nairobi, Peter Kenneth had his eyes on the prize as he shared a rare moment with current Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero at a church service in Ruai.
What we are competing for is who amongst us can deliver better services to you.
Kenneth's entry into the Nairobi governor race is closely linked to the 2022 presidential race, in which aspirants are seeking seats that will place them in a better position to run for the house on the hill. But it is not going to be a walk in the park.
Pia kujihadhari kidogo, najua ulikuwa unataka kiti ya president, sasa ukashuka chini badala ya kwenda juu. Najihadhari kwa ajili ukishuka hapo utatafuta kiti cha MCA.
Well, it is the battle to control the country's capital and it has so far attracted over 5 aspirants who have expressed their interest to unseat the incumbent Evans Kidero. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.
When you say Evans Kidero, you also mean Jonathan Mweke, I believe.
Yeah, same thing.
Is the seat getting hotter or what?
No, it's not. It actually isn't. You know, as Nairobians are watching the comedy, the governor and myself are out working for Nairobi, ensuring that, you know, the city is clean, ensuring that people have street lights and the security is good and the roads are built and children are in school and so on and so forth. So we are waiting to see what Jubilee will come up with. Right now we are kind of not bothered with what's going on the other side because we don't have an opponent. It's very interesting about the division. I'd like to comment a little bit on that clip. Just 2 things. One, you see they're saying that this Team Nairobi led by Sonko. And Sonko says that he's going to the ballot box. Which means even if Peter Kenneth is nominated, he is going to the ballot box with his Team Nairobi. That's one. Now Sonko's running mate is this guy called Simon Bugwa.
Has he announced that?
Yeah, they're always together.
No, but has he announced?
He's not announced it officially. But you can see, I mean, even somebody like Philip Kisia usually writes a newspaper article saying, signed by, I'm running to be deputy governor for Nairobi. So people are wamejipanga somehow.
Running to be deputy governor?
I don't know what he means, but that's what he signs off his articles. Now you see Sonko on this side saying his Team Nairobi. Then if you looked nicely behind Peter Kenneth, you see Simon Bugwa. So even now the one who's going for governor and the one who's going for the deputy are even in different camps. Now in that same camp of Peter Kenneth, there's Shebesh and there's Maina Kamanda. Between themselves they are fighting. So, and this is 6 months to the election. So we are just watching.
Are you sitting pretty?
We don't underestimate any aspirant. Everybody is worthy. All we are saying is Nairobi is cosmopolitan. Nairobians are very progressive people. The governor and myself came in with a promise of ethnic relations, improving ethnic relations. That's why we've dealt with all the 42 candidates together. Now we are worried that some of these candidates are coming in and they are branding themselves tribal candidates. And we want to resist that completely, because once you start dividing tribes here in Nairobi, then the whole country is going to be divided. So we need somebody who's very clear on that. We are also now, the governor is also right, because we saw them in church. There were somewhere in Jiru at the ACK church, which is headed by Bishop Waweru. He's a very good friend of the Nairobi County government. You know, take me for an example. Politicians are ambitious people. My friend C. Barati used to be a nominated councillor. He was not even elected. He was nominated. He was so ambitious, he went to run for MP and he won.
And he became an MP.
Yeah. I ran for MP Westland in 2007. I lost. But I was so ambitious, I ended up becoming the deputy governor. Now we go again with the governor. Then after the governor finishes his 2 terms, I'm ambitious again, I want to go for governor. Now you're seeing Peter Kenneth, honestly. From president, now you came to governor, you didn't know if you were going to Nakuru or Murang'a or Nairobi. Now you've settled here in Nairobi. You don't even have anybody to take you around. So the governor is right. In the next election, if he's not careful, he might be running for MCA.
Taking somewhere. 2 steps back to take 10 forward. You never know. You represent Dagoretti North, right in the middle of Nairobi. Are you satisfied? Are they building roads? Are they cleaning the city?
Of course, first of all, I want to say that they have not met our expectation. But indeed, they have done a good job.
So they should go?
No, they can't. Because indeed,
we've done a good job.
They've done, literally, they've done a good job. Because another thing, what happens is...
He's stuck with them.
Not stuck with them. These guys, they receive around 12 billion per year. That's the money that the city used to get.
They collect another 10 billion.
There is nothing collection. The collection, which is, he'll give us the figures, the money that they are collecting. The national government owes these people over 65 billion.
69 billion.
69 billion.
Billion.
From the land?
From land to even the common services.
They don't pay.
They don't pay. Therefore, how do you expect a capital city to grow, even if you were to put 12? The salaries these guys pay is 12 billion. Therefore, the little that they get, the small things, garbage, of course, they have not improved in garbage. If you get into my constituents, garbage is still on the road. I want to blame the national government because of refusing to disperse the money to these people.
So that's why they are suffering.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what miracle they'll do if they take over Nairobi to salvage it. Kenneth doesn't know anything of what is happening in Nairobi. One, those other guys.
But he was born and bred in Nairobi, so he argued.
You know, differently, if you've been born and bred in Nairobi, where you have been practicing your politics is important. This is not Katanga. This is not Murang'a. The population of Murang'a is smaller than Nairobi. You are walking around, you are thinking 12 billion is a lot of money, which pays salary to the people who have been even seconded. Sorry. From the national government. What do you expect these people to do? Otherwise, the little they've done, and what you are saying is that we expect that Nairobi will retain it as ODM. Of course, another thing, as CORD will take over the government, the money that we will be owing the Nairobi City County, will give it, and the Kenyans will see the services from there.
You represent the people of Kamukunji, another constituency. Your take?
Yes, I would say first of all that without looking at the personalities, what is happening in the Jubilee side in the contest for the governorship of Nairobi is democracy in action. Many candidates have come out very excited about representing Nairobi. They are presenting their cases, their issues to the people of Nairobi every day, and therefore to a certain extent they have energized and rejuvenated the Jubilee campaign in Nairobi. And a lot of people are now paying attention to what needs to be done in Nairobi, what kind of Nairobi do we want. That debate has intensified, as you can see, every weekend and across all the districts of Nairobi. And out of that, the Jubilee supporters in Nairobi would be able to pick the best candidate who can represent us in that contest. And I have no doubt whatsoever when we pick up on the best candidate and put him forward for the election of Nairobi, that we are going to win that election.
How soon will that be?
I think that there is a process. Even the CORD itself has not made a decision on its leadership, leave alone the national leadership. CORD is struggling to get it.
Actually, that's where I was coming.
Exactly.
So for Jubilee, it's okay to have a big number of people because it's democracy. But for NASA or stroke CORD, they have been defeated to have a flag bearer, and it's an issue in Jubilee.
It is an issue because of the different signals they are sending. Because in the case of Jubilee, all the Jubilee candidates are going to contest on a Jubilee ticket, one party, one person. In the case of CORD, you have several parties that are cancelling each other in every rally, everyone competing for their own, discrediting and attacking the other one. It is Wiper, it is Ford Kenya, it is ODM, all, and then it is ANC as well. So there are four parties.
But there is still time for both Jubilee, Nairobi, and CORD stroke NASA.
In our particular case, there is really no dispute over the leadership. They're all going to be in Jubilee. It is one of them who is going to come out. Their presidential candidate is already determined. In this particular case, the National Opposition Coalition is undecided and will not likely decide in the near future, because
they're having a second meeting. I hope they will. Before I get to Nairobi residents,
because of the danger that they are facing is that by announcing a candidate, they risk disintegrating and becoming fragmented.
And that will not happen with Jubilee Nairobi.
No, because we would decide whoever among them would be our next governor candidate. It is not going to change. In any case,
I want to get to this Nairobi resident, but I want to ask you, you are a resident of Nairobi, you represent the people of Kamukunji. Who is your candidate?
I strongly believe that Peter Kenneth is the best candidate among the...
So you're the Peter Kenneth?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Resident of Nairobi.
Resident, yes. This is what
either of these camps will present to you a candidate. Yes. Who would you go for?
This is what the resident is saying. One, I've noted with a lot of concern, just like everybody else, Nairobi governor aspirants are using Sunday as their prime day for politics and inside the church. That is not good. You cannot go to the holy ground and talk your things In West Pokot, we have banned all that. When we go to church, we go to worship. If I must speak anything, we go outside the church. When the services are finished, then we can now talk whatever we want.
Not at the pulpit.
No, you are a sinner.
But church is for sinners.
Yes, but you go to repent. Don't go.
Not to sin. You don't go to sin in church.
I must say, you repent. So that is what we need. It's a concern. It's a concern. It's an advice to my colleagues who are in Nairobi. It is civilized that we honor places of worship. Number two, that the tug of war between Kenneth Kam and the other ones is also healthy. So let it be allowed to run around. And recently, 2013, President Uhuru Kenyatta became the president. He was not born in West Pokot. He was not born in Nyamira, for example.
But he was born in Kenya.
He was born in Kenya. Must you be specific to say I was born there for you to be anything? It's the idea which is in your table, which you can provide and present to Kenyans that people will buy. So whether it's going to be Songo, it's going to be Gidero, it's going to be Peter Kenneth, we are watching as the residents. So that's what we want.
Who would you vote for?
Lastly,
who would you vote for?
He has no vote for Nairobi.
It could change. It could change. We still have 15 days.
And how do you know I may end up doing that for you? But there is a statement I don't want to lose. Nairobi is owed over 69 billion by the national government. This is an accumulated sum of money from previous government from 1963. Including when we were in the Grand Coalition government, the Prime Minister was the Prime Minister, co-principal. There was about 50 billion.
Is this accumulated?
Yes, 50 billion. So what we should
it's
say,
payable. In other words, it cannot be paid back.
It can be paid. But what we want to see, any regime that comes should assist the city, county to be able to pay their own obligations, even if it is small, isn't it? And then they may also must sit down once and for all to see how that burden can be lifted off their shoulders.
Is it comparable to West Pokot?
The what?
The race for Nairobi gubernatorial seat.
Yes, there is no lesser competition anywhere. Everywhere, including Lamu, the small county in size. Politics is as hot as you see here.
Okay, gentlemen, as we wind up,
I'd like to
give you a
respond.
moment each.
I'd just like to respond to some
quickly,
of
and you
issues
come up with your last...
yes, with my last thoughts. First of all, on the church issue, Professor, you know I'm also a Christian. If you go to Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 13, the Bible says, choose from those your own, who are wise, experienced, and understanding, and I, the Lord, will appoint them to head you. The Lord is saying, you must go and vote for your leaders, and I will make them your leaders. That is why when the Wananchi vote, we are called elect, senator-elect, governor-elect, MP-elect, president-elect, until you are sworn in with a Bible
or
and
the
Quran,
or
a Quran, and God makes you the leader. So those people in church are men and women of God. There is nothing wrong to go and tell them to exercise Deuteronomy chapter 1.
His argument is you should do it outside.
But you do it inside church because even God wants you to do that. So that you choose your leaders wisely, who are understanding and who are experienced.
Your last comment.
Number two, I'd like to correct both Simba Arati and Professor. The national government should not work with Nairobi. It is law. There is the Urban Areas and Cities Act. If you go to Article 6.1.2, it says the government shall,
it's mandatory,
partner with the capital city to help it get operational and build infrastructure. The capital city hosts the presidency, the judiciary, the United Nations. We are the only developing third world country that hosts the United Nations full station. After Geneva, Vienna, and New York is Nairobi. They are here. And we host all the ambassadors here in Nairobi. The law, and the parliament did well in the 10th parliament, they made a law to say that the government must support Nairobi so that it can be the hub that it's supposed to be. Because we are the capital city, right?
Deputy Governor, you need to give your last comment because of time.
Yes, because of time. The same government, when we went and petitioned, first we petitioned the county assembly, they didn't do. We went to court, it didn't work. Now it's in front of the Senate, where we are saying, please give us our 69 billion shillings that you owe us, We are not even now saying the agreement under the law. We are saying you owe us this money so that we can deliver services. 69 billion is a lot of money. We get 12 billion from the national government. Our salaries alone is 13.1 billion. Nkaiseri, who represents the government, came and said, we can't pay, we won't pay, and a small government should not tell a big government what to do. Now surely, how do we deliver services? So under the circumstances, with the little resources that we have, we've automated, we've collected double the money that we had, and we are providing services as best as we can.
Are you saying you are stranded? You pay 13 million?
We are stranded because we are stranded, and this is a good example of what I keep saying on this show. If you don't follow the law, everything else goes underground. Yeah, and the government has a law and an obligation by law to support.
Are you saying the national government is not working with you people at all costs? I mean, at all?
In that aspect, they're not. If the cabinet secretary can come and tell you.
Gong Road project, is it a national government or your project?
It's a World Bank project.
Through the national government or through your government?
It's through the national government.
So at least
it came from the Grand Coalition government. It's a deal that was signed 7 years ago.
Facilitated by the current government?
Yes, through the World Bank,
no, monitored by the current government.
Actually, through JICA. I'm corrected, not through the World Bank. The World Bank is doing other projects in Kayole. This is through JICA, through the Japanese. Yeah. So my final words is, we've been told very clearly by the Deputy President that come what may, Jubilee must take the Nairobi government. And I'm just asking and appealing and pleading with the Nairobi people, go out and take your vote so that we can show the Deputy President that it is not him or Jubilee who decides who will lead Nairobi. It's the people. And the only way we can prove that is by going and getting those 853,000 eligible voters so that we can make a very big statement, and then my governor and myself get another 5 years to continue the work we've been doing.
Well, first of all, let me say that my expectation today is that we would triumph at the Africa Union, where we have a candidate, a super intelligent, articulate, and a highly experienced candidate would be elected the chairman of the Africa Union. And I hope we would have an opportunity to celebrate that victory. The second thing that I'd like to say, I urge all people in Kamukunji, all young people in Kamukunji, to come out and register before the end voter registration exercise. That is the power that you have. That is the weapon you have to elect representatives, both at the MCA level, at the member of parliament level, at the governor level, and the presidency. So play your role, use your democratic right to get an ID, a card, a voter's card, and please register before the end of the voter registration.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Simba.
The only way to remove this bad government from power is by the young people taking the vote, and that's the only weapon that we can remove Uhuru and Ruto from power. And this is my plea to all young people in the country, that go get the voter's card. We are prepared to make a big change in this country and for the lives of even the generation to come, because this government has no an iota concern of our problems as Kenyans. Therefore, I want to ask those ones who are watching us today that indeed urge your neighbor to go and get that voter's card to remove this bad government from power.
Professor, NASA leaders are meeting today to talk towards getting one of their own as a flag bearer. KANU is still out, or are you having talks with any of the coalitions, or are you going it alone as together with your last statement?
I will tell you what I told you last time. KANU is KANU. All other coalitions are those coalitions. So if you want to know about KANU, we mean well for this nation. Whether we are going it alone or not, that's not the issue here. The issue is we need to remain as a nation that is united. In fact, it is well with Kenya as we continue with our politics. Remember, we have a lot of challenges now, famine, strikes. We have a lot of shortcomings. But at the end of it all your leaders, whether in opposition or in government, they mean well for Kenya. So all what you are seeing here, drama of challenges, of competitions, tough words, they are meant to propel Kenya to great heights. So I want to assure Kenyans not to be scared of anything at all, and just stand and believe that Kenya has never gone astray. These leaders you have today,
You chose them, and that's why we are calling upon you to register in large numbers, so that if there are some that you think are not performing well, you only remove them during the ballot at the ballot box in August. It is your choice. It is your responsibility.
Thank you very much. It is your choice. It is your responsibility. Citizens, if you are out there and you've not registered as a voter, remember the only way you can have authority or a say on the kind of government that you have is through registering as a voter and turning out to vote on 8th August this year. It's been a pleasure having in my panel this morning Mheshimiwa Yusuf Hassan, Member of Parliament for Kamukunji. Thank you very much for your input. Mheshimiwa Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor Nairobi, always a pleasure. Professor John Lonyangapuo, it's always a pleasure. And you talk like you're saved lately. I don't know.
Not lately.
And the bishop.
Where were you?
You have not. I expected when you introduce yourself, you say, "I am saved and I love the Lord."
you start next when we meet.
Okay, thank you very much. And of course, Mheshimiwa Paul Simba Arati. Now I know your Christian name. It's always a pleasure having you. My name is Charles Odhiambo. Let's do it again next Monday. Tomorrow you'll be with my colleague Fred Indimuli. Thanks, and keep watching Power Breakfast.
The Jubilee Party is yet to identify its flag bearer for the Nairobi gubernatorial seat. The Team Nairobi side, led by Senator Mike Sonko, claims it has what it takes to clinch the seat and urged other aspirants in the party to join them. Sonko and his team continued faulting former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth, accusing him of using unfair tactics.
There are some MPs ambao wamenunuliwa wanaendosia wananchi wa Nairobi candidate wa governor. Hiyo hatutakubali. Sisi tuko paka kwa debe na mmoja wetu ndo atakuwa governor wa Nairobi.
Sisi walisema ati mimi nime withdraw in his support. I want to tell him that he needs to be more innovative.
Team Nairobi has labeled Kenneth as a latecomer who has portrayed himself as the favored one. The legislators spoke at a church service in Roysambu and were joined by Kiambu Governor William Kabogo. And while his colleagues continued tearing apart his ambitions in Nairobi, Peter Kenneth had his eyes on the prize as he shared a rare moment with current Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero at a church service in Ruai.
What we are competing for is who amongst us can deliver better services to you.
Kenneth's entry into the Nairobi governor race is closely linked to the 2022 presidential race, in which aspirants are seeking seats that will place them in a better position to run for the house on the hill. But it is not going to be a walk in the park.
Pia kujihadhari kidogo, unajua ulikuwa unataka kiti ya president, sasa ukashuka chini badala ya kwenda juu. Na jihadhari kwa ajili ukishuka hapo utatafuta kiti cha MCA.
Well, it is the battle to control the country's capital, and it has so far attracted over 5 aspirants who have expressed their interests to unseat the incumbent Evans Kidero. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.